Oh, well, I hope it was that easy. Yeah, hang on. I'm just going to check my audio. Hang on. Got a message from my daughter. All right. Okay. Children. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to mention that on here. So it's nothing to worry about. It's yeah, children being children, even though they're adults. What's this one? All right. I'm just going to quickly check the audio. If anyone else can double check for me, that'd be grand. How do I swap? All right. Oh, I can't remember. How do I do that? I'm so unprepared tonight. Hang on. All right, let's try that. Why are you playing out there? That's weird. The audio is not playing off my phone. It's connected to something. What the hell are you connected to? Oh, my crash helmet's still on. 2 secs. Long story. I don't have a charge. Right, I'll put you on charge as well. Right. Oh. Right, we're done. Actually, I'm going to take this off because I'm a bit warm. Oh, that's better. Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah, sorry about that. I was just doing an audio check via my other channel on my phone. And I could hear my voice, but it wasn't off the phone. It was coming from a Bluetooth device. And I still had the Bluetooth headset of my crash helmet turned on. So I've just gone and turned that off, which means I'll probably need to plug the crash helmet in for a charge up now because I don't know how long that's been on for. Great fun, but there you go. I hope you folks are all okay. Yeah, it's well, I was hoping to kind of do this last Monday because I'm trying to aim at the end of the month for every live stream now to keep a bit of continuity going. Didn't quite work out. I can't remember what I was doing last Monday, but it wasn't this. I was had my fingers in other pies, shall we say. Yeah, so greetings to all you guys. Hopefully a few of you would have watched last night's bit of content. I've got some more. Well, I've hopefully I've got 2 more bits. Well, it'll be 3 bits in the pipeline. The third and last bit will be dependent on whether I can get some different mediums involved. If it was a request that someone gave, which I thought would be an interesting thing to do, but I've got to find mediums that I'm satisfied are genuine, and that they're prepared to come down the lane with us. But so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So the 2 next pieces I want to do should be easier. Because the last 2 bit, the first one was the hardest because that was like the most travelling I had to do. I go between Basel and Thurrock, Rettendon to get all the location shots done. Then the one that went yesterday was a bit easier because most of it was around Rettendon, and with the exception of going to Hockley. So, and the next one should be kind of easier still, because I think, to my mind, there's about 3, maybe 4 bits of content I'll look at. So it will be easier to film, and it'll be shorter as well, because there'll be less there. And then the penultimate bit, I'm going to look into Darren Nichols, and try and get as much as I can on him and look over the stuff that's there. And then the last bit will be a trip back down the lane again. But as I say, that one's in the air. Depends if I can get some people involved. That's where we are. Yeah, as I say, anyone want to fire away questions and stuff like that, feel free. Yeah, I'm going to be here for a little while. I'm just going to crack a beer open, I think, because my mouth is a little dry. So bear with us. And I might move my camera over. No, I'm going even further away. Let's try that. I don't think it matters too much. Hi, Sam. I like gloves. My channel is about gloves. That's very nice. I'm glad you like gloves. Disposable. Right, okay, I've only got motorcycle gloves, I'm afraid. I can't help you. So we'll get a drop of that. Spread up one of them. All good. Right. Hello, Rob. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting some liquid refreshments. Yeah, I was a little bit. Yeah, lovely, Sam. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, good. Thank you, Rob. It is predominantly me at the minute, but yeah, yeah, because I obviously know that at the moment this channel is the channel itself is predominantly myself, and obviously where Rudy steps in as well. But that's how it is at the moment. That's better. Get my whistle wet. Yeah, so it is predominantly myself at the moment I'm a bit of a one-man band again, which has kind of gone a full circle, because that's where I was not long after I started. But yeah, obviously Rudy does come in as well. The stuff that I've been doing with Rettendon, obviously that's just me at the moment. The last bit of content, as I say, there should be other people involved. I've just got to sort out when I'm wearing and all that jazz. So yeah, I hope you guys are all good. I know this weather's not been brilliant. We just had a little downpour down here in Canterbury. Yeah, the weather's not been. The weather has actually. I mean, joking aside, the weather's been the main bit of annoyance. Heat wave coming. I hope so, because this weekend I wanted to get out in my little boat, and the weather was I probably said before. Obviously, I've got the boat that I live on. This one, which is for 1 footer. A little bit of wind's not going to bother too much. But the 2 little ones I've got, there's a 13 footer with an 8 horsepower engine, and I've got a 9 footer with a little 3 horsepower. And my plan was to take the 9 footer, because it's in the back of my car, with the outboard over to Medway, and I was going to go and do a little bit of exploration this weekend, but there was just a bit too much wind for my liking. I don't particularly want to be flipped over in a dinghy. That can be a really bad day. And yeah, plan B Saturday, if I could get out on a boat, I'll go and do some work on a bike. And then it peed down. It weren't supposed to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a heat wave. I quite like the warmth. the boat that I live on, I've got a lot of windows, door, hatches. So when the hot weather turns up, as I found out my first summer last year, I pop all them open, and it is quite pleasant in here. It's the winter where it's a downfall, but yeah, there we go. And this is going to be the first year for a long time that I haven't had a convertible. Any of you that watches the Paranormal Essex channel, if you cast your minds back to last year, I was walking around in a vest top, and I was quite burnt, purely because I've been out in the soft top a lot, and I've been out on a boat quite a bit. So I was catching all them sun, and I was really, yeah, I'd really caught the sun. It's not happened so far, but it'd be nice. Yeah, I'll just chat crap at the minute. Oh, while we're going, I bought one of these. A MetaQuest 3. It is the nuts. Absolutely amazing. Rudy's got the MetaQuest 2. I tried that a little while ago, and it really blew me away. Oh, hello. Hang on a minute. No, I'm not playing Iron Man again. No, I think I just put my finger over the sensor where it detects your head. Yeah, I was a little bit late because I was playing Iron Man. What's your thoughts on Terry Ball and Paul Betts? Yeah, that's an interesting. I really should look into Terry, because I've got a feeling he's, as I probably said in the previous lines, he's, you know, might be, he may well be a distant relation, not a second cousin or something like that, because he comes from the East End, which is where my family line comes from. There was 17. My granddad was one of 17. So it's more than likely I was related to. I get the sense with Terry that he might have been kind of a fixer. Whether it's like, you know, for some sort of clear up or setups, that's the sense I've got with him. I may be completely wrong, but that's how I feel with it. It might have been. Oh, so there's a new name. That's a new name to me. Yeah, with Paul Betts. That's an interesting one. I think he might have gone and. I mean, he said he was out that night to test his 4x4, which sounds a bit, you know, 2.5 brain cells sounds a bit off. It's possible he may have gone to check up on them. It wasn't him that pulled the trigger. One of the things I did read was that I think the ballistics or forensic went to. Oh, okay. Yeah, just quickly on Paul Betts, the shotgun cases, none of them matched up to any of Paul Betts's guns, if I remember that correctly. All Paul Betts guns are accounted for, and yeah, those shotgun cases didn't match or weren't matched up to any of the guns that he had. So in that instance, I think he wasn't involved like that. But I just get the feeling he might have gone and have he might have known that it was going down, and he's gone to have a look for himself. Okay, David Bright was Essex Police. Was he? Yeah, I suspect he does. There's a lot of them that ain't talking. I don't know how old David Bright is. Maybe he should. Something you ought to think about if he's in his senior years. Maybe he should think about stepping forward. If he, you know, if he's got, he'd have nothing to lose. I mean, that's. I was talking to James, I think it was, on Facebook. He runs one of the Essex crime channels, and he said that there deathbed confession from a telecoms engineer. Yeah, I agree. As I say, they're all tied to secrecy. You know, they're all tied to. You know, I don't think they want the comebacks. You know, if someone blurts out, David Bright played it. Oh, really? Oh. Jason. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have a read up on this David Bright. As I say, it's not a name I'm familiar with. There's, I mean, if you can appreciate, when I've spoken at length over the past sort of 18 months, I've kind of stepped away from the Essex Boys stuff a little bit because there's other things going on. You know, at least a bit of the people that was involved with this channel and working to get Paranormal Essex back up and going again. So my attention was taken away from developments between the last bit of content I did and this. So yeah, there's a few bits I'd like to catch up on and see what the crack is. But as I say, for me, it's always been the direct. Anyone that was involved, like for me, it was as it's always been. I purely want to know the events down the lane and who was there. That's it. I mean, I know that's something everyone wants to know, but I'm not too fussed about who was involved. You know, who was keeping quiet and who called it. You know, Patsy Clark and the Blundalls and all the rest of it. That's great, but my interest is purely on that, focusing on that event and the people that was there. You know, so that's why I did the witness statement timelines. They're all out there in public domain, and they've been out there for some time. And the other channels have covered them. I don't know if they've done a timeline in the way that I did it. Certainly not to visit each and every site, which is why I did what I did. Go into every point. Oh, excuse me. I went to every point in the witness statements and done the footage. We don't hear much update from TMI anymore. David and Albert. Yeah, yeah, I do want to catch up with Albert because he did help me with some stuff when I was working actively on it. You know, before I sort of had a little hiatus, and it's a plan. I'll try and get over there. I'm gonna have a look at the tide times and see if I can tie up getting my boat out and visiting Albert because he lives in Kent. So I'll see if I can tie the two up. But he's got info. I know he's already put it out there. I mean, I could sift through all the, all the content that's already out. But he's got the. When I last spoke to him, he had all the info that was available about the sightings of Tucker Tate and Rolfe post 7 o'clock and all around 7 o'clock. That wasn't in the main witness statements, if you know what I mean. So that's like the Fortune of War and the All Sick Cock and the Carpenters and all that sort of thing. So those are the three pubs I was aware of. I don't know if there's any further sightings. She disappeared. They found her car. What is it down? Was it by the River Severn or something? And she was involved in. She claimed Ball was involved in it. She did this. Well, yeah, she did disappear, but no one knows if she took her own life or if she did what she did, or whether she faked doing what she did, or whether someone else did that to her to make it look like it was, she unalived herself. Just don't know. But yeah, I just get the sense Terry Ball was some sort of fixer for that. You know, whether he was liaising with Jesse Gowl or, I mean, what's his face, Billy Jasper was just whether Terry was a link in the chain, and that is my overall feeling. He was either dealing with Jesse Gowl or he fixed up a crew to go and do a clean up or to go and check that the deed had been done. That's what I get. It was involved like that somehow. But yeah, her disappearance. I mean, I'll mark that on my to-do list, and I'll because I'd need Rudy in with that because that would be along the paranormal lines. She did, if that was the event like we've been led to believe. Yeah, but that would be a hell of a trip if we've got to go over the other side of the country. But yeah, just I might even when my dad's next over, I'll ask him if there was a Terry Ball in the family. He may well know, but that'd be funny. Like after all the work I've done on, because I did some ancestry work with with my family line from my dad, like from my paternal family line. And as I say, that's how I know about my granddad being one of 17. And as far as I knew up to that point, there were no skeletons, unless Terry Ball is the skeleton. Linda was like, "That's it, Portishead. That's it." Bristol, yeah, which is literally the other side. I'd have to travel the other side of the country, and that's if she even did what she did. That either happened or it was a cover-up. And if it happened, did she do it, or did someone help her do it? And if she didn't, she was faking to make so she would disappear, sort of thing. I mean, given that I think that she was having she was having a lot of cross words with Terry over what had happened. So yeah, we just don't know. We just don't know. Yeah, he's a bit of a walk. Funny enough, I've been to Bristol a few times, but not for my own purposes. Part of my daytime job. When I've taken our service users, not just to the hospital appointments, but I take them to different parts of the country. I think we can give ourselves a maximum of 8 hours or something, 4 hours each way, and Bristol's about 3.5. And I was taking someone there quite regularly, but it was literally a case of drop them off and like, I'm going home. I'm not hanging around. I want to go home. So yeah, but the thing is, I've got to do. I've got some holiday. I've only taken like a week's holiday this year. So, oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, if I could look into Terry, but so if I get a chance to chat with Albert, I'll see what he if he's got any info on Terry. But as I say, I mean, the prime directive of a TMI was to prove the innocence of Mickey and Jack. To clear their names. That was the prime thing. But yeah, that'd be interesting. So he could easily have kept an eye on things, overseen things. Oh, yeah. But yeah, because we just don't know about Linda Millard. As I say, we were led to believe she unalived herself, but no one knows anymore, and there's speculation around it. As I said. Yeah, and also Terry, I think he's not long passed away, is he? I'll just have a quick look on old Facebook, because I'm sure I've seen it. Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me just stick that in. Yeah, give me a minute. I'm just having a quick nose on Facebook. I think he only passed. It was in the last couple of years. It was pretty recent. Let's just do that for a minute. It's quite funny actually, because I don't think that's him. I mean, the funny thing is, I've got a friend called Terry Wall. I've always wondered why Billy Blundell would openly say he warned all fear dead on. Yeah, 2020. That would be about right. He was a similar age to my dad. Yeah, that ain't you. Yeah, he was. Yeah, Terry Ball was a similar age to my dad, I think. Look at that one. Yeah, there's quite a few Terry Balls on Facebook, funny enough. I always wonder why Billy Blundell would openly say he warned Pat Tate, and 2 days later, all three are dead on Billy's manor. Yeah, well, Tony was the prime target. That's sort of become apparent because he ripped off. Was it Patsy Clark over the Brinks mat? Yeah, he ripped someone off. I think it was Patsy Clark, which is something you really didn't want to do. And so, Tony was always the prime target for that. Not Pat, but Pat was sort of too drugged up and, along with the other two, and thought they were big fish in little ponds and they were untouchable. As Billy said, Pat said, if it happens, it happens. It's a bit. Pat didn't have to be there. Pat wasn't the target. Although, no, I think he owed money himself, but Pat wasn't the target. So, yeah. Yeah. Let's see what Billy said, what he did for you there. You're going to get it and all. But, yeah. That's how it is. Yeah, no, terrible. Let's see if. Let's try that. Well, if it's the same, hang on. So there's I've got two come up here. I've got one that died. Sorry, I've got one. I've got a Terry Ball that passed away on the 15th of June 2020, age 72, and that was in Poole Hospital, which is Dorset. And then there's another Terry Ball who passed away suddenly on the 30th of October 2020, and that was in Stroud. It was reported in Stroud News. So I wonder which one it is. I think it more likely the one in October, because he was 78. So yeah, as I said, it was a similar age to my dad, maybe a tad older. So it may be the one that was in Stroud. The interesting thing is, if that Terry that died in Stroud, his middle name's James, same as mine, which is weird. Terry Ball was also director of a bowling club, and guess who was a member? None other than Paul Betts. Oh, okay. So maybe Paul could have had a word with Terry. Yeah, Paul could have had a word with Terry. As I say, it's had to have been a fly on the wall then. And I don't think Paul's going to. I don't think Paul's going to talk, because it'll implicate him being involved. He's Terry James Ball. Yeah, that's weird that James is my middle name as well, because James was my granddad's name. That must be him then. Yeah, it's reported in Stroud News. He had a wife called Dawn and a daughter, Melanie. If this is the right one that I'm reading. I'm just reading your obituaries, which is quite interesting. They're all saying he was kind, gentle, and very talented. If it's the same guy, I think you probably calmed down. Such a very interesting. Oh, was he? Holy crap! When did that happen? When did Paul die? I thought he was still. I got it in my head he was still alive, because his son got his son got prosecuted for something. Oh, let's just get a bit of light on in here. Oh, it's better. I'm probably overexposed now. Yeah. Let's try that one. Let's try that. That's better. Watch Lee Maher's new podcast with Jason Bolger. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. I keep trying to get in touch with Lee about doing a podcast with, because I did a podcast with Lee a long time ago. I keep trying to arrange something with the Paranormal Essex team, because Lee did the podcast with myself, and then he did one with Paige, and we was hoping to try and do one together, but that never quite come off. Yeah, I'll have to have a look. Yeah, let's see if I can find. So I'm sure I found him on. Let's try that. No. Watch. Yeah. Um, no, it's Leah Betts. I've just typed in Paul Betts on the. Oh, it was last year. Okay. How did I miss that? Yeah, about 6. Yeah, about 7 months ago. Well, yeah, I've just had a look. Yeah, Rick, I've just had a look. It was report. Well, the Mirror. The Mirror reported Paul's death in 20. Yeah, November 25. Motor neuron disease. Um, yeah, moved to the Scottish Highlands with his wife Janet, a former nurse, in a bid to escape painful memories as well as threats. Who the hell would want to threaten? I don't get it. His death, age 74, came just a day after the 20. Yeah, that's the day after the 25th anniversary of the shootings. That's coincidence. Death certificate obtained by the Mirror. Motor neuron disease. Speaking about his health battle just 3 months before he died, Paul revealed the disease had already caused him to lose mobility in both his arms and legs. Over the past 3 years, I've been losing the ability to walk and losing strength. Wait. Oh, he's got 3 other daughters. Okay. Sarah Tinker. Okay. Yeah, I was just reading up on that. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, I'm sure, actually thinking about it, I'm sure I saw it and forgot. But, blimey. I mean, that's the thing. It's a weird thing to think of that was obviously Leah Betts dying when she was 18. You know, you still kind of think of Paul Betts as being a, you know, dad in his 40s. And there he is, he's passed away 74. Which is, I mean, I've just got my dad left now, and he's 80. That's just weird passage of time. Still trying to look for Tilly Ball. Okay. Yeah, I'll look. I'll have a better look tomorrow, I think, and see what I can find. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So I mean, has anyone got any questions on the content from last night? That was, yeah, as I said, that one was easier to do than the first one because I had less travelling. But my next one, I will need to talk to Albert and see what info he's got. Because I say there's been such a passage of time between me getting back on it and when I was last on it, and there's all sorts of new stuff that have come out. And, you know, I've lost track, so I don't know any new information. So, yeah, I'll have to catch up and see what Lee's new podcast says. And, yeah, so what else is there. Hopefully, once I've got these last couple of bits done, I can concentrate because I've got other, like, more historical murders that I want to look into. Stuff that's sort of happened, you know, from the 18th up to middle of the 20th century, where there's no living relatives. So that'll be easier to deal with, hopefully. But yeah, on a tide's almost out. On another note that is related to the paranormal stuff, I don't know if any of you guys are aware, but the 1st of August, I'm going up to Pontefract with the Paranormal Essex team, and we're going to do an overnight at the 30 East Drive. Very similar to the Ventnor murders case. Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll probably watch that after I come off the stream. Yeah, just saying, we're on the 1st of August, we're going up to 30 East Drive, which is reportedly one of the most haunted properties in the UK. And we're going to be there overnight. Should be fun. Oh, dear. No, you're right. Yeah, not far from Doncaster at all. I was looking at something in Doncaster. I can't remember what it was now. I could have tied the two in, but it was funny actually because yeah, we booked up. Yeah, we booked up 30 East Drive, and it's not just the Paranormal Essex team. How long is the journey from Pat Tate's house to Workhouse Lane? Off the top of my head, about 25 minutes. Give me a minute. I can, if you give me a minute, I can go on the maps and tell you. Whatever if I can type. Right, so we want to go 49. Don't ask me, I know the number. 49 Gordon Road. Yep, directions. All right, bear with me. It's too far up. Okay. Right. Now Google Maps is right now saying the most direct route would take 17 minutes. However, that I think no, actually, that's probably a fair assessment because it's avoiding the new A130, because back then the A130 was the main road through Rettendon, but there's since been a bypass which was built around 25 years ago. But that bypass wasn't in at the time. So yeah, I mean that's saying 17 minutes now. So where are we? 9:30. So it's light traffic. That's a fair. I'd say it's a fair wait. So yeah, we'll put another 8 to 10 minutes on there for traffic. Yeah, and I'd say 25 minutes. Yeah, I'd say 25 minutes is a fair assessment. The road has changed since. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The route I just put in. The route I just. Right, so the route I just put in goes up the. Hang on a minute. Oh, I've got that right. So I'm trying to. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, it does still use a new stretch of the A130. I do apologise. Let's do it that way. Right, so that's saying 10 miles, 18 minutes, but that's now. Yeah, an hour is a stretch. I mean, even with the weather conditions being what they were that night, I'd say 40 minutes at the very most, but more realistically 30. What do you think the chances are that Nichols has been watching? I dare say he has. Probably, yeah. He's probably been sitting there watching this. He's probably sat there watching my channel, eating freaking popcorn. I mean, how old would he? I mean, he was in his 30s then, so Nichols would be about. I think Nichols is a similar age to Jack. So yeah, Nichols will be in his 60s now. Yeah, and he probably is. So probably sitting there, got away with that. there's one or two people who've, like, you know, myself included, that have gone, Nichols needs to be looked at much more closely, and that's not happened. And he's probably sitting there thinking, freaking hell, I literally got away with murder, as the saying goes. But yeah, he probably is. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the, I mean, the funny thing is when you look at when he gave evidence in court and he said about pulling out on someone from Workhouse Lane in El Passat, he pulled out on someone. Now there is actually, I've still got the script here from what I did for Sunday. But if you go through this, there is. Let's see if we can find it. No, it's not. It's not that one. I think that's it, Kevin Tarbert. So, yeah, I mean, there's a statement for Kevin Tarbert, and as it says, 10 to 8. It was about 10 to 8 where he got up to the lane, and that white escort van pulled out in front of him very quickly. So was Nichols describing? So here's two things with this. Now Nichols described him pulling out in the Passat in a similar manner in front of someone else. So, well, Jasper's is much more accurate. I've covered it. Nichols' statements Nichols' statements have been pulled apart by several different people. It's just the you know, the appeals don't want to know. You know, as far as I'm concerned, they've got their men, and that's that. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, from following Jasper's account, it stood up. A husband and wife was to the car going back to pick up their child. Oh yeah, that was the first statement. So we're going back to Raymond Alfred Wright. Yeah, he was. He dropped off they dropped off their son at. Raymond dropped his son off at his mum's house in Pitsea, went to a funeral, then come back and picked him up, and then he was. Yeah, and then he was heading back to Tolshunt, I don't know how you pronounce it, Tolshunt Darcy, which is near Malden. And what is it he described? The road goes, it became a... Oh, yeah, it was Raymond that described the other Range Rover. Raymond described the Range Rover that pulled in to Workhouse Lane, but it wasn't Tucker Tate and Rolf's Range Rover, because Raymond described this one as having grills over the rear lights, whereas Tucker Tate and Rolf's one didn't. There was no grills, whereas this one, he said, was. So who was in that second Range Rover? Now, when I went down there on the second visit, I had a gut feeling that might have been John Marshall. I had a feeling that might have been something. I had a feeling that Range Rover was John Marshall's. I could be wrong, but it was just a feeling I had. and there was four. I think there was four guys in that Range Rover. Good evening, Adam. Yeah, it's all good, mate. We're just going over all the Essex boys comfort I did. That second Range Rover that went down there, there was four. I think there was four occupants. The interesting thing was, Raymond described a large guy in the back behind the driver's seat, and he had a fawn-coloured top on. Darren Nichols had a fawn-coloured jacket. I'm not suggesting it was him, but it would be quite what's the word? It'd be coincidence that there's two large guys down, with this same coloured top on. And yeah, I'm going back to the Escort that Kevin Tarbuck mentioned. As I said, Darren described himself pulling out the lane in a Passat, doing the same thing, upsetting another road user. Now, that statement in there, was that describing, because he said that the van only had one occupant in it, but so that obviously the driver. If that white van was picking up someone and they've gone in the back of the van, then obviously you're only going to see one occupant. So was it a case? Hang on, I'm getting slightly lost here. So if someone's pulled into the back of the van, you're only going to see one person in that van because you can't see through the panels. Darren Nichols had a white Escort van that he lent to a friend of his called, I think it was Craig. I think this guy's name was Craig. I can't be certain. But he did lend his white Escort van to someone else. So did Nichols go down there with the rest of these guys in this Range Rover, and then for some reason was taken away in the back of this white Escort van? Or was that event with the white Escort van, was that given to, that statement, was it given to Nichols to integrate with his story when he went to court to make it sound more believable? So instead of he's replaced the white Escort van with his Passat. Which one is it? He's either been coached with an existing witness statement to make it sound more believable, or that was his mate Craig taking Nichols away in the back of his own van. Now, if that's the case, then why? So I mean, there's all these unanswered questions. Who was that second Range Rover? Who was in it? Now, I think you think the latter. He was coached with that witness statement. Yeah, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. That he was coached with that witness statement, but it just seemed like there was. Oh, that's a point. Yeah, Jesse Gale. Yeah, I didn't think of him. So it could have been. Yeah, it could have been Jesse's. I actually assumed John Marshall because John Marshall had a very similar Range Rover, but it could have been Jesse. I think that the description that went on in that. I could read through it again. Right, so yeah, just going to read quickly. Right, so I'm going, as it did, I could see the vehicle was a 4x4 vehicle, and because of the shape of the rear of the vehicle and a grille over the rear lights, my immediate reaction was that it was a Range Rover. I believed that the vehicle was dark in colour, and I think it was possibly green. Did you say Jesse? Right, yeah. Nichols and DC Bird were there, yeah. He was seen later that night in Southend with blood on his clothes and a bag of cocaine. Oh, really? Is there anything online about that, Alan? Is there anything online about the blood on his clothes and the bag of cocaine? As I say, I'm trying to, because it is stuff that I'm trying to piece together for the next two bits. And as I say, with me being out of the loop for a couple of years, yeah, there's stuff out there that I haven't caught up with. But yeah, just that's what this bit says. As I said, I assumed it was John Marshall. I forgot about Jesse Cow. Shortly after midnight. Okay. All right, that's really handy. I'll have to find that. Yeah. So yeah, dark. Yeah, I believe that the vehicle was dark in color. I think possibly green. I don't know why, but I think there were at least 3 people in the vehicle, and I think there may have been 4. I was aware there was a driver of the vehicle who was in the dark and a person who was sitting in the rear of the vehicle behind the driver's seat. The person, who I believe to be a man because of his size, appeared to be bigger than the driver. He was wearing a light / fawn coloured upper garment. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How strange, the 3 lads died in a Range Rover John Mark. Yeah, I know. I remember it at the time. It was just all these Range Rover murders, all these shootings in Range Rovers. No, that was yeah. They, that's like one of the first things you do when you're when you're forensics. You try and establish the time of death, and it was it was such a schoolboy error that they didn't work that out. And I was saying about there being a lack of frost on the vehicle, but also I think the sunroof was open. So, all right, yeah. That's why there's no time of death. Yeah, because it happened around mid. Yeah, they probably knew it happened around. Well, yeah, as I say, that would be a schoolboy error, not determining the time of death. Yeah, but as I say, the best, the clearest bit of information that's out there that takes the time of death away from 7 o'clock to around midnight is the statement by Billy Jasper, which I've already covered, and to me it's the report that he gave stood up, and the fact that there's a witness report from Stephen Rogers just after midnight when he heard was, as he described, a fusillade of gunshots. Now there were other gunshots described that night, but it was only 2 or 3, and they were shot 8 times. So was the 2 or 3 someone out lamping? Yeah. Give me 2 secs. Just got to talk amongst yourselves. So I just had to check. I was running out of water, so I've got to fill my tanks up after I finish this, which takes about 40 minutes. Yeah, where are we? Flurry Guns. Yeah, that's the farmer heard 7 or 8 shots at midnight. Yeah, Rick. Rick. That was Stephen Rogers. When he got back inside, he said the clock on his wall said 25 past midnight. So, wonder why the boys didn't call their wives to tell them that dinner was cancelled. Well, that's the thing. Was there further phone calls after what we've been told, and that information has been withheld to, to marry up with the official story? But why did they not go to the mill at 8 o'clock? Or was that all bollocks? The mill. Well, yeah. As I say, the only thing I can think of is, that was a false narrative. It was either a false narrative to throw it down the road of, the Nichols line, or that was due to happen, and it was cancelled, but any phone calls were made are withheld on the record files. Going back to there was this deathbed confession from a telephone engineer, and he said that it was something like Essex Police withholding, or the evidence was manipulated, something like that. I'm going to have a look. They definitely were dead by 8, though. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be interested to see how much they withheld, but as we know with the Essex Boys thing, as far as Ivan Dibley was concerned, Mickey Steele was already guilty. I don't think he wanted to look elsewhere, and it just so happened that, but he had absolutely no evidence to go on until Nichols showed up after being nicked with 10 kilos, and he crapped himself, and yeah, he was asked by the police to doctor the records. Yeah. As I said, when I went down the lane the second time, I did ask. I was struggling because it was cold and I was using my dowsers. But I did get a positive response as to further phone calls after 7 o'clock. As I say, it was just a case of, because we know that the police like to do that every now and then, change things to fit the narrative. But yeah, he was. What was I going to say? Until Nichols showed up with that 10 kilos and crapped himself when they went to charge him with the murders, and he squealed, and Dibley finally had his golden ticket, because up until then they had nothing, only the statement that Billy Jasper gave. Yeah. He made them look fools at the docks. £1 million event. Yeah, exactly. It was. It was Dibley's last case. It had enough of Mickey being one step ahead of him. To him, Mickey was already guilty. Just didn't have any evidence, and then, the Darren Nichols rolled in and gave him the golden ticket. But it was so. Yeah, how the jury found them guilty on that evidence, I will never know. Yeah, that's right, Blundell's. Yeah, Pat wasn't. I mean, Pat wasn't the target. It was Tony because of he, he ripped off. I think it was Patsy Clark he ripped off over the. I think he had 400 grand or something that he ripped off of Patsy Clark, which is something you just don't do. But they thought they were untouchable, so they just carried on, did what they did. And if Pat was in the way if Pat was there when Tony got done, then so be it. But to me, which I've said before, plus the CDI, yeah, his name's up further up. Yeah, DC Bird, I think it was. Yeah, I know Pat. I thought Pat owed Kenny Noyes some money. Maybe Billy as well, or he owed at least one of them money. I don't know whether he'd settled up with Kenny or not, but yeah, that would make sense. It was just the way that the shooting occurred. That's right. Yeah, he was asked to look after it and ripped him off. But as I said before, whoever did pull the trigger, I think they wanted Pat to know who done it. That's why he was shot in the abdomen in the first place. You don't. I mean, for what it's worth, to shoot someone in the abdomen to subdue them, you may as well take the shot to the head. You've just gone Craig Tony, Pat's just there. I just swing round and straight to the head. What's the point in doing the abdomen? He bought Brimount Lodge. Tony did. Are you talking about the place in Fobbing? Alan, we're talking about Tony's place in Fobbing. Tony's house, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that place is well documented as being Tony's house, and you can drive down there and go past it. But it was just some of the reports around it that he paid in cash. He seemed to have this property with no visible means of income to cover it, and it cost him $250,000. Which $250,000 for a property back then literally would buy you a mansion. I mean, $250,000 now, but just about buys you sort of a 2-bedroom flat, maybe house. But back then, that would buy you something massive. And you just pay for it cash. You've got to wonder how that happened. And it was, I mean, he had dogs walking around in there, CCTV, electric gate. He was clearly scared of something. He's clear. I mean, people around him said he was, the paranoia was kicking in during those last few months. Yeah, but I mean, the property would be worth that now, easy. But yeah, as I say, I think he paid $250,000 then, when the average house price back then, 30-40 grand maybe, possibly a little bit more. Yeah, the crack was making him paranoid, absolutely. I mean, I can remember. There's probably, if hindsight being a wonderful thing. I can remember in the early 2000s looking at a 3-bed property in Vange, which is it's funny when I hear Crime City Courtroom talk about Basildon, and I know he's not a local because he doesn't pronounce Vange as Vange. I think he says something else, but I was looking at a 3-bed in Vange. Now, they don't look, they're not much to look at, but they're good sized properties inside. And you come from somebody who live. Hi, Shez, good to see you. As I say, somebody who grew up in Basel. I know the area very well. They're good sized properties inside. The garden's okay. And I was looking at one early noughties, about 50 grand. Which was doable for someone like me on a. I was on a cellarman's wage because I used to look after the cellars for the nightclubs that was over at Festival Leisure Park. And that's not a job to scrape them as being a particularly high paid job. It was okay, it was all right. But the money I earned from that, I could have easily got a mortgage on a 3-bed property in Vange, 50 grand. So, that kind of gives you an idea too. The early noughties, you could buy a 3-bed property in Basildon for 50 grand. And there's Tony Tucker, 5-6 years before that, paying out $250,000. He's paying a whole 200,000 more than what I would have paid for a 3-bed house. So it tells you the kind of property that he was looking at. Just insane. And as I say, there was no visible means of income, so he got that money from somewhere. But as I said, Craig Rolf's brother Brian. Yeah, Brian's been wanting. I think Brian's been wanting to catch up with me, and I really would like to chew the fat with him. Maybe that's something I can work on for possibly the next 2 bits of content. Maybe even the next one I do, because I kind of planned when I did that first bit of content. I kind of planned to have someone I tried to sort of arrange someone to come with me. Yeah, I like Brian. Yeah, I agree. I mean, not too much, Ches. I sort of elaborated a bit on the content that I put out last night regarding Nichols and the white escort van that Kevin Tarbuck said pulled out on him. That was either the interesting thing for that was the Range Rover that went down the lane, reported at 10-7 by Raymond Wright. He reported a Range Rover going down the lane. They had the grills over the lights, and we're just talking that it might have been Jesse Gale. It could have been Jesse Gale's Range Rover. I thought it was Stephen Marshall's, but it could have been Jesse Gale's. There's 3 to 4 occupants in it. There was a large guy in the back, fawn-coloured top on. Darren Nichols had a fawn-coloured top. Just saying that, it could just be coincidence, but it would be interesting if that was. Well, the white van that pulled out quickly in front of Kevin Tarbuck, Kevin said there was only one occupant in this white escort van. Now, Nichols had a friend called Craig, and I believe he'd lent his van to Craig. So either 2 things have happened here. Darren was already there at 7 o'clock for whatever reason, and I've heard from another source, this was a couple of years ago, that Nichols was there. In what capacity, I don't know. As I say, I still think he might have been. He had the capacity to pull the trigger. That I know. Knew the boys were dead at 6 a.m. Yeah. I mean, that could have been Paul Betts checking on them. Don't know. But So was it a case of that Nichols went along in the Range Rover, and then he'd done something, and the white escort van pulled out sharpish, but Darren had got in the back of the van. Therefore, Kevin Tarbuck wouldn't have seen any occupants in it other than the driver, because there was another person in it. He would have been in the back of the van. Well, I think 7 o'clock was around the time that the farmers, Theobald and The other chap, I think that was about the time they turned up down there, and obviously they called it in. But the last, interestingly, the last statement, if you watched last night, was 10 to 7, 6:50, and that was from David Lloyd Rees, and he saw a white Ford Sierra Cosworth sitting at the base of the lane where it joins the main road or the old A130. So that was at 10 to 7. The white Sierra Cosworth was spotted at the entrance to that lane just before 7 o'clock. Yeah. So was that car check-in? Who was in that car? I mean, that's another story in its own. Who was in the Sierra? That is a total other thing. But yeah, just going back to the Nichols thing quickly. Yeah, so was he down the lane, and it was his mate Craig that picked him up in the white Escort van, and he pulled into the back of the van, hence why there's only one person seen in it. Or the other line that you could follow is that statement had gone in, and when Essex Police were coaching Darren Nichols for a believable story to put to the court, was that witness statement given to Darren, but it was altered from a white Escort van to Nichols' Passat. So he's replaced the Escort with the Passat and woven that into his story to make it more believable. You know, that's the two lines. So yeah, that was pretty much the main thing he was talking about, Shez. And just well, yeah. I mean, I'd heard that as well, and remember, I think when the first detectives got down there or something, and literally said the evidence is melting before our eyes, because they didn't seem too bothered about jumping on this. So yeah, was it a case of, you know, job done? You know, we'll seem to be going through the motions, and that was it. And it was just the fact that Nichols landed on Ivan Dibley's lap as a star witness that they was able to do Mickey and Jack, which to Dibley's delight, because he didn't like Mickey, give him a run around. He gave him the opportunity to wrap this case up nicely. As Inspector Clouseau would say, the case is solved, and he can retire. Thank you very much. Yeah, as I say, that, you know, I'll go back and watch that content again from last night, because I've literally gone from 10 to 7 that evening, which was about 5 minutes after the last phone call, or the last phone call that we know of, down to 10 to 7 with the white Sierra Cosworth, and that's shortly before the farmers turned up. So who was in the Cosy? That is another, you know, that is another story in itself. I don't think it was Nipper, because I think Nipper had a BMW. So, yeah, who was in that? Who can tell? But yeah, the saying, Shez, the next couple of bits I want to do, the next one should theoretically be relatively simple, because it's the other sightings. It's the post 7 o'clock sightings, at least for 2 of the accounts anyway. I want to look into them, and there's only about 3 or 4 of them to my knowledge, so that should be relatively simple to do. But what we was talking about was Brian Rolfe. Oh, really? Okay. David McKelvey said Essex Police used. Oh, right. That's interesting. Yeah, but an unmarked, like they. Yeah, because they do use. They always, Essex Police always have used something a bit tasty for unmarked, but I thought they were predominantly Volvos at the time. But because it would make sense, I've seen them use some. I mean, not so long ago, I see them driving around Southend with, marked VXRs. All right, you can probably lose them around the bends if you're that good a driver, but you ain't getting away. The VXRs are bloody quick things. But that is interesting. Again, if that was, but then the boys were following a Cozzy the previous evening. So was that the same car, which it kind of sounded it was? So were they whoever it was in there, were they undercover, or was it someone a bit more tasty? Yeah, could be either. Yeah, that's where we are with it. Sorry, we're talking about Brian Rolfe went off piece. Yes, I like Brian. I don't think he's got a lot of time for one or two other people that's been involved with this, shall we say. And I do want to try and arrange to have a chat with him, because what my plan was, the plan I had with my the first content I did back on this case. Yeah. The first content I did back on this case, I was kind of hoping I could get someone else involved with it. So during that time that I was driving down to Thurrock, we could have had an in-car chat, just chewing the fat about all things. And so, yeah. But once I've got all the info I need for the next piece, the next content, I'll get in touch with Brian and see if he wants to sort of come along and we can have an in-car chat along with doing the filming, the locations of where the boys were seen. Because I say once we know about the Carpenters and Fortune of War, there's potentially another one at the All Sick Cock. Whether there's any more on top of that, I don't know. But that's what I knew when I was last working on this. So whether anything else has come up, I don't know. But I need to talk well. But if I can get Brian involved with that, then great. And then the last bit I want to do, which isn't paranormal related, will be hopefully doing a deep dive into Darren and seeing all the info that's there about him. His time spent in witness protection, and all the stories he'd make things up and all that. And, the other stuff that in court when, because there was something about Darren having a conviction for a firearms offence, whether it's being in possession of an unlicensed gun or something, I don't know. But there's something about him on that. And the fact that he used to go shooting with his boss, he had a grudge with Pat. So those little things for me link in that Darren should be held as a suspect. Where Pat was shot in the side, to me that says, I'm going to show you who's got the better of you. And for all your muscles, one bit of lead and you're done. And I think, and as I said, Pat used to take the piss out of Darren. So that's an option there. But we'll try and paint a bigger picture when I do the next bit. Oh dear. Hang on. We're chatting away. My messenger's going off about East Drive. Give me a sec. Right, so positive. Oh, okay. I'll just catch up some messages there. Did Billy Blundell have the Essex Police in his pocket? Yeah. Well, I mean, even with even just Bamber's another thing, but well, we've seen that the police were bent just with the coppers that Darren Nichols were dealing with. So it was stand to reason Billy would probably have had some brown envelopes ready for a couple of them, and he even said on camera um, to the police, "You leave it with us, and we'll deal with it." Yeah, which I mean, I'll get to Alan in a sec. The, um, yeah, for Essex Police, it was the easiest way to get some scumbags off their manor, and and them not having to deal with the paperwork. So the big, all the big fish, kept will keep their operations under the radar. Well, it's not to say the police wouldn't have them under surveillance and everything, but they didn't make the noise that Tucker Tate and Rolf did. When you create a lot of noise, you're going to get attention, and for the police, for the bundles to turn around to the police and say, um, "We'll deal with it." It's they're like, "Great, we're going to have them taken off our hands. We ain't got to lift a finger." Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think Steele was bringing drugs in. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Blundell, you know, Mickey was a very bright, useful guy, so it would stand to reason that Blundell would have him on his books. For his ingenuity and he can build a boat that would go to Blankenberg and back. I struggle to get up Benfleet Creek and back. You know, they could fly multi-engine aircraft. I've done 2 lessons on a single engine craft. The guy's very bright, and kept one step ahead of the police and all that. So yeah, I mean, if I was Billy, I'd be like, Mickey, I want you on my book, sort of thing. You know where to get it. You know how to bring it in, and yeah, we'll keep we'll keep you sweet, sort of thing. It takes a certain person to pull the trigger. I don't think Nichols has it. That I don't know. It's possible. I mean, I've not seen anything about it, but then I've not really looked. So, yeah, because those drug parcels were getting dropped off around Hanningfield, and I think when I went down there the first time, I think that's why they was why Tucker Tate and Ralph were really there, because of these plane drops, and I think some of it had come down over Workhouse Lane, because remember you got the 2 lakes there. Well, it was 2 at the time. It's been 3 since. And whether the pilot that was flying over had seen the wrong lake and dropped them, don't know. But yeah, it could well have been for Blundell. That's quite true. Yeah, as I say, in relation to Nichols pulling the trigger, as I said, I would have him as a suspect, because I think there's a side to him, which I think is what some of the people who dealt with him at the witness protection and that. Oh, got it. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, Alan. Oh, right. Yeah. No, not plane drops. He rented. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, if they called the hit, then yeah, he's going to take off, isn't he? That goes without saying. Speed was there. Yeah, but I mean, there was drug drops. That is reported. You can look that up, and there were drug drops over Hanningfield, and Rettenon's just about half a mile from Hanningfield. So when you're going, when you're in a plane doing 100 knots, you could quite get confused that the Workhouse Lane lakes are the Hanningfield ones. Just a thought. But yeah, no, with Nichols pulling the trigger, um, I can't remember if it was the people in witness protection or Mickey Steele or both. They said that he had like two sides to him. He was this silly side, and then there was this other side. For one thing, he said, I could pull a trigger, I could bump someone off, sort of thing. So there's that. And as I said, he's got experience with firearms. From what I understand, he's been done for firearms offences. And Pat, yeah, as I say, Pat took the piss out of him I think it was in prison, and possibly when he met him in hospital. So if whoever's called Nichols in to do the hit, I mean, remember that Billy Jasper said the guy that he dropped off was a Mr. D. Mr. D could be Darren. I'm not, I'm saying that Darren has to be a suspect, not that it was definitely him that done it. I always felt that it was Darren that's done it, but I'm quite happy to say, I'm wrong on that. But I know Darren was more involved than what he tried to make out, and what one or two others are. It was a random. I mean, the other thing that triggered that off was I went to a friend's birthday down in Dover. I haven't seen her since, actually. This was a few years ago. I popped down to see a friend in Dover. She had I think it was a 40th. And I was chatting with her then boyfriend, and we're talking about the Essex Boys stuff. And he's he said he worked with Colton back in the day, and yeah, as I say, we're talking about the Essex Boys stuff, and he said there was that fat CUNT, and I went, what, Darren Nichols? He went, yeah. He said he was down the line. He just come out of it just like I've just done now. I've got no reason to disbelieve what he said. Just the way he responded was totally out of the blue. He said, yeah, Nichols was down there. So he's obviously more involved and it was interesting with the when he's in witness protection, it seemed like he was overcompensating to distance himself from what happened. So, as I say, to my mind, he has to be considered. And it was, as I say, and that last thing with Pat being shot in the side, as I said, Pat had Nichols, I think, had a grudge with Pat because of Pat taking the piss out of him. When you've gone in that car and you've pulled the trigger, why would you take the trouble to shoot Pat in the side where you can just as easily go straight from Tony to Pat's head and then do it? Why would you go and then deliberately go down and shoot him in the stomach and then go back and do the other shots and then go around and shoot Pat? You deliberately want Pat to see what's happening and who you are before he goes. As I say, Tony's the most likely suspect because of the money he owed Patsy Clark. And whoever was called in to do it wanted Pat to know who it was. It's just the way it looked to me. And the other thing as well, and I've mentioned this before, the damage to the headrest behind Craig Rolfe. You know, you've got that, and if you go and look at an old Range Rover or an old Land Rover, you know, the Land Rover Discoveries, they're more or less the same height. Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a thought, Ricky. Yeah, although hands ain't going to be much protection. Yeah, that is a possibility as it goes. I mean, it depends how quickly it happened, whether Pat would have time to react like that, you know. We'll have to look at the pictures of where they were located in the car again. But yeah, as I was saying, I've forgotten. Yeah, with Tony owing the money, he got shot 3. You know, he got shot 3 times. It says to me that's Tony was the target. And the only reason Pat got shot 3 times is because obviously it was done in the abdomen, and then the guy took the time to walk around the car and go through the glass, and the first shot from that side of the car grazed his head, so it was the third shot that was straight in the head, and that was the kill shot. So that's the reason why there was 3 shots into Pat. There should have been 2 if the second one hadn't missed, but Tony got the 3. So to me, it's saying Tony's the target. Who's to pull the trigger wants Pat to know who. I mean, because the thing is, you could still shoot, even if Pat's covering his head. You could still shoot in the head from there. The hands ain't going to stop anything. All it's going to do is make a mess of his hands and his head. But we can surmise over that. I mean, the proof of being a pudding. If I can get down there with another couple of mediums and see if we can get any further info. But yeah, the first 2 I did. The first one, the Estes, we got a lot of selling stuff, and then the second time with I was working off the Dowsers. The other interesting thing, when we went down the first time, and I had that first Spirit radio, which I've still got actually, it's in my garage. When I went back over the footage, and it should be up on his channel somewhere, I might clip it actually and put it up as a short. But Tony actually came through on the Spirit radio. When I went over the footage again, you heard "It's Tony," like clear as day for the radio. I'll try and find that clip, and yeah, I might do it as a short or something, probably on here and TikTok. So yeah. Oh, done hour and 3/4. All right, yeah, going to do about another 10 minutes because as I've just discovered when I went to wash my hands, my tap's spitting, which means my tank's nearly out, and it's going to take I've got 400-litre tanks on this boat, and it takes about 3/4 of an hour to fill them up, which I need for the morning when I shower because I've got my hair. I look like Shawaddy Waddy. That's probably from wearing this. Incidentally, anyone's just joined us, if you've not tried one of these MetaQuest, they're nuts. There was Rudy that got me into these. Rudy's got the MetaQuest 2, and I went out round there one night to, try it out. Looking at the Apollo 11. I'm going to talk about something a bit UFO-ish in a moment. But yeah, put this on, and you can look all around the Apollo 11 capsule. The takeoff, the landing on the moon, the orbit of the moon, and the little walk around on the moon. It's amazing. So that was one thing. And then there was this DJ software. and you can change your augmented reality, so you turn your room into like a dance floor sort of thing with people dance. It's crazy. And YouTube's spatial, which actually drops you in the video, so you're like at the site. It's next level 3D. You know, if you can imagine 3D, but totally next level. They're amazing. But anyway, going off piece. Yeah, quickly. I know we talked about the Essex boy with the retina and stuff. I had an interesting conversation with one of my clients last week regarding UFOs, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want to record a little. I want to record a little thing about it, and I'm hopefully going to get up to. I was hopefully going to go out to Greece this year with a mate of mine. Unfortunately, with my boy getting married, he wants his stag do on the same night that I was supposed to go away. So I'm not going now because I'm doing the stag do. But my other plan was to go up to Bempton, up in the Yorkshire area, and it's just south of Scarborough. And Bempton's supposed to be a hot spot for UFOs, so I'd like to go up and do a bit of spotting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really think about that, Rick, whether whether he's got shot in the side because he put his hands up to his head. I don't know whether he reacted that quickly, because you think the split second of that's been done. Yeah, he might have had time to do that. But even so, if you'd got shot in the head, your instant reaction is going, oh, like that. And then you got, well, that's another thought. If you just got done in the abdomen, your instant reaction maybe to move your hands from your head down to here, where you've just been shot because you're in, that's where your pain is. But either way, it just seems the way that Pat was shot was very odd compared to Tony and Craig. I mean, Craig was taken out because he was a driver. Tony was the target. And yeah, Pat was warned. They said, if you're there, you've got to get it too. Yeah, as I say, Rick, I think that is you'll probably got, you're probably not wrong. That is a strong possibility. He's just saying that, and his gut reaction is to do this, and then he's got a shot in the side. But I mean, even say you could just as easily have finished him off in the car. You wouldn't have, walking around the car to the other side seems calculated. Yes, I mean, we weren't there. We won't know. The best we can do is, I mean, the best we can do is what I do with the paranormal side of it, and try and get a picture from the, try and paint a picture from the spirit side and give us some sort of idea on what goes on, and whether anyone's going to step forward and talk about it. But that's not going to really happen. There's still a lot of people who probably do know who are still very much alive, and it'll be years before they're on the deathbed. And from my point of view, it's like I want to do the next few bits of content and then just draw a line on this, because I've never been interested. I've never been, well, it's curiosity, but I've never been too interested in the upper echelons of who called the hit and everything else. It was literally who was there, what happened, in that immediate time between the time that quarter to 7 and the time that they were found by the farmers. Well, not even that, just between quarter to 7 and midnight. They're the most important bits, because we know that that period of time was when they were very pretty much alive. Try and reach out. Yeah, I've heard of Tony Stockwell. I'll look him up and see if he'd like to get involved. Because I mean, the other thing is, you know, as you guys know, I've worked with Rudy for a long time now, because I know him and I trust his gifts. I know he's genuine, you know, and he's helped me expand my gift as well. And we often see the same things. So I know I know Rudy's genuine, but he's already been down there, and as someone already asked, you know, about taking fresh mediums down the lane to see what we can see what the results would be. So I need to find a couple of mediums. I'd say, yeah, I'd take two, but I need to know that they're genuine. They're not going to, you know, they're not going to want to try and have the centre of attention on them. You know, I don't want egos. I know we've all got a certain amount of ego, but you know what I mean? I don't want an ego trip. And the other thing is, obviously, it's a touchy subject still, and whether they'd want to do it in the first place. So, you know, there's a few barriers there that need to be crossed. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Well, she probably wouldn't be afraid to do it then. All right. All right, I'll look him up and, yeah, once I've done my other two bits, I'll look him up and get in touch and see if I can dig someone else out. I know, as I say, I know quite a few other mediums in the area. It's just whether they'd want to do it as well, or if they could say, right, um, we're not, but we can recommend, you know, Dave or Sally or whatever, and they'll come out as well. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So once I've done this, I've got a book full of historical murders that I'd like to work on, and that won't be the same issue that I've got with this, in that, because there's a lot of people involved that are still alive, is trying to handle it in a delicate situation. Whereas the historical stuff, you know, the people who've already watched their stuff know, you know, we're very respectful in the way that we work, and I'd probably like to try and get Stella back on with the historical stuff as well, because Stella and Rudy work very well together. So, yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look on that one. Oh, it's 10:30. Yeah, I was just thinking about another murder. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, someone mentioned about Bamber. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, Rob, you mentioned Jeremy Bamber. Yeah, there was, yeah, there was doubts on his conviction. I haven't read too much into it, but the doubts, um, I think they were, all the doubts that I'd seen were debunked. But whether there's other stuff since then, or whether, you know, I'd read the wrong thing in the first place, I don't know. But yeah, with the Bamber case would be very compelling. I suspect the house where that happened. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to have a very, very quick look. Let's close all them down. Well, he's 65 now, Jeremy Bamber. Oh yeah, White House Farm. Let's see if Google Maps can show me where it is. Oh, that's interesting. So Radio Times have done a piece on it. Yeah, I'll do that. The ITV drama. Oh, I'm just having a quick read through where it was. Right, so Tulsa Darcy, as we know. Tottenham, Jeremy lived in a rent-free house located 3.5 miles away from the White House farm. The farm was never demolished. Okay, so I'm just reading off of this. The article was done 6 years ago, 2020. The farm was never demolished following on from the harrowing events, but was rather turned into the home of East Coast Classics, a classic car rental company who, as HITC revealed, have a collection of iconic and classic vehicles to rent. Oh, that's interesting. So it's not. It doesn't sound like it's actually occupied. Rather, it's owned by a company. Oh, Jeremy Bamber's cousin, Anne Eaton, now lives at the farm, having moved in following the 85 murders. Notably, Jeremy expresses disgust at Eaton's decision to live at the farm. With Jeremy. Okay, well, it's still there. It hasn't been knocked down. So I wonder if it's worth putting an inquiry whether they'd be happy for us to do something. Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, Rob James Smith. Yeah, I can see that. I think the footage, yeah. Just, yeah. It's a good name, James. I like it. So that's my granddad's name, which my dad gave me when I was born. So, but yeah, it's oddly enough, James is like my granddad's one of my guides. God help him. uh, yeah, I'll have them. Yeah, what's your space in the Bama thing? I mean, I can put in a. I'll look up the place and maybe write them a letter or something. That'd be odd with the age of email. Let's have a quick look. I'll delete that first. Let's have a little look what it's saying there. No, that's Rettendon, you silly sod. All right, 2-6. Oh, that must be it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, East Coast Classics is there. All right, so that's got to be it. Right. I'll save that. Okay. All right. Yeah, it might be worth an inquiry. They can only say no. Okay. Right. Oh, it's gone 2 hours. Right. Guys, if anyone's got any more questions or anything, far away now. Because I'm gonna call time, as I say, I've got to fill the tanks up on this. And it's gonna take about 3/4 of an hour. Obviously I'll need a shower in the morning. Look at that. Uh, okay. Right, if no one's got any more questions, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to fill my tanks up. So yeah, thanks very much. I mean, if everyone does have a question after I call this, yeah, as I say, that just quickly, yeah, just so I don't forget. Yeah, I'm going to do the little story. I'll probably do it as a short on YouTube because it won't take long, and I'll probably put it on my TikTok as well. But yeah, it was a very enlightening conversation I had with someone this week. That's all I can say. And oh, I can put a little tidbit. Rendlesham, the Britain's first, basically Britain's answer to the Roswell was Rendlesham, and it's to do with that. So yeah, you should find it quite interesting. Be a nice, easy, quick little thing I'll do. And yeah, we'll probably put that up next. So right, there we go, guys. Yeah, I'm going to call that because I've got things to do. And yeah, it's been emotional, everybody. I'll let you know when the next bit of content is, and so I suspect that will be what it is. Just a quick little thing. And as soon as I've been able to get in touch with Albert, I can get the information from your next bit, but that won't take too long to do. Fingers crossed. Okay. So yeah, if you have got any more questions, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll get to them. All right. So thanks very much, everybody. It's been great talking with you guys. Likewise, Rob. Likewise, everyone else. Have a great week. Love and light to the lot of you. God bless you all. All right. See you later. Bye bye.